All right, so you see right here, there's
we
some
got some wood here. We
wood
got
that's
some
right
insulation.
there.
But yeah, that's
Underneath it, there's more wood as well. Um, so there's some sense of originality that's still here. School. Now we're heading to Smithville, which is kind of like, which is in the same area to a certain degree. But for you and your education growing up, a Rosenwald school something that you were taught? Like, when did all of this kind of come about for you? Was it working with
I
the
did
Smithville
not
community?
learn anything about Rosenwald schools in grade school for sure. I learned about Booker T. Washington probably towards the end of high school or definitely in college.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, if I learned anything about Rosenwald schools, it was in passing. I started to learn more about Rosenwald schools, though, when I got involved in the history of the local area here in Mecklenburg County because we have so many Rosenwald schools. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, the area that I grew up in Florida, I don't know. I mean, definitely the town I grew up in didn't have any Rosenwald schools, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that there would have been any, within proximity to where I grew up at,
Yeah.
and that could be, one reason. But the story of the Rosenwald schools is so significant that I am surprised that I never learned about it in school.
Well, you know what they say, right? Better late than never.
That's right.
And, obviously you had the opportunity to work in the community directly that has a Rosenwald school still in existence, not functioning as a school, of course, but still intact, that's there. So
Yeah, that's right.
that's
And
pretty dope.
the Smithville Rosenwald School was used as a community center, a community hub where the community could really organize, and they organized for the greater good of Smithville because that community had a hard time being represented equally by Mecklenburg County. They weren't allowed to have, well, not that they weren't allowed, but that the county would never prioritize installing sewer and septic systems for them. They wouldn't provide trash service for them, so the Smithville men had to get together and provide their own trash service and literally
Really?
dig their own trenches for their own sewer and septic systems because there was a point where their septic systems were just backing up into their own
Golly.
backyards and into the streets, and they were literally collecting piles of garbage on their property because they didn't have trash service. So when
That's
the
crazy.
county or their town wouldn't provide for them, they provided for themselves.
Yeah,
And
you made a way out
those
of no way.
old Smithville or those old Rosenwald schools provided for a center for them to organize for that stuff. And
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting to see how these buildings have life beyond their intended purpose because these were all purpose-built buildings as schools.
This is the community. This is the Smithville community. As you see, there's already these traffic things that are lined up for the development, I guess.
I think that might be NCDOT is widening that road, but you can see possibly, I don't know how much the GoPro on the front will show, how close, these are new buildings that we're passing right now, but some of these other houses, you'll see how close that they are to the road.
Yeah.
I actually can't remember what it is, but there's a reason why they're so close to the road.
Mm-hmm. But this community's fighting. They have the Smithville Coalition, right? Is it called the Smithville Coalition?
Smithville Community
Smithville
Coalition.
Community
Right.
Coalition. And
Yep.
they're doing a lot of things to try to preserve the school. And
They are trying to
is a
get
school.
ahead of the development too that's bound to happen here. This is a school. We'll loop around up here and we'll park right next to it. But they're doing a lot to try and get ahead of the development that's happening in this community because they want to prevent developers coming in and developing really expensive properties that will price people out of their homes. A lot of these homes are still owned by people that are native Smithville residents.
Yeah.
But a lot of them have aged out of their homes or they have, moved on to maybe like retirement homes or something. Some of the houses are held up in trusts and family trusts and heirs and stuff like that. And so they're trying their best to try and save this community and build it with purpose, develop it with purpose,
Yeah.
and develop it in a way that would lock pricing so that it wouldn't skyrocket as high as all the other pricing
Price
for housing.
people out.
That's very common here in the Cornelius and Huntersville, North Mecklenburg area is these properties will will oftentimes price people out of
Yeah.
living in the communities. And so they're just trying to prevent this whole historic community from getting bulldozed and replaced with McMansions.
McMansions.
All right.
All right, we're here. Let's check it out.
All right, so we're in Smithville here in Cornelius. This is the Smithville Rosenwald School, and Smithville was originally founded in 1908, or it was actually founded in 1910 after the land was sold to the residents of Smithville by Jacob Smith in 1908, and it was a community where formerly enslaved and their families could come and build their own communities. A lot of these lot lines are really deep because they would have their own farms and their own, they'd grow their own food out in the back. So this is a Smithville Rosenwald school that was, obviously built as a part of the Rosenwald school program, and it was used as a school. But something that I also thought was really interesting was prior or after it was used as a school, it became a community center, and a lot of the people that lived here in Smithville would come here for cookouts. They would come here for dances, movie nights. The kids and the adults would come here, and they would build a form of community, and that became a really important milestone, or a really important centerpiece for this community, because it allowed a place for them to organize, where even the men in this community would organize around digging their own trenches to install their own septic and sewer here. They actually had to come and provide their own trash service because the town and the county wasn't providing trash service for the community. And eventually everybody got tired of having piles of trash and having their septic systems back up. So the community took it upon their own responsibility to dig those trenches and remove that trash. And the Smithville Rosenwald School became a centerpiece for where they could organize to have those things done.
Yeah. That's pretty dope, Cal. You're pretty smart.
Well, I got to work with Cornelius and with this community, and doing a documentary a couple years ago where I got to learn a lot about their history through that project.
All right, so now we're going to walk around to the back.
We'll provide a link to the project.
Yeah, we will provide a link to the project. This is obviously a baseball field right here, as you all see. It feels good out here too.
Yeah, they had their own baseball team too.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called, the Tigers, I want to say.
I'm not sure, but a lot of these communities did. Yeah, maybe a catamount.
A catamount.
But a lot of these communities did have their own baseball teams as well. And as you see, we're here on the back side. They have a full length basketball court right here. And this is the back side of the building.
Yeah, so this school was remodeled a lot. It doesn't look a lot like what you would expect from some of the Rosenwald schools because it had been remodeled over the years. So, it's got vinyl siding, I think, on it. It does not have the big windows that are really sort of indicative of Rosenwald School, but it's still here nonetheless. It's not being used right now, I don't think.
I don't think so either.
But there's hopes that it will be a part of the Smithville Community Revitalization Program, and that one day it will see use again.
You can see some of the wood that's over, like if you all...
Oh, yeah.
Let me turn this around.
That vinyl siding's kind of peeling back.
Yeah, we're going to walk over here and show you all some of the wood that's right here. All right, so you see right here, there's some wood that's right there.
But yeah, that's...
Underneath it, there's more wood as well. So there's some sense of originality that's still here.
Oh yeah, you can actually see the siding right behind you probably won't be able to see it on camera, but yeah, where it's kind of coming up a little bit, you can actually see the original siding right here, maybe. Yeah. But
people obviously take pride in their community. They may not be the mansions that you see elsewhere out in this space, or mini mansion, McMansions, like you said earlier, rather.
McMansions,
But there are some efforts here, of course, to maintain some resemblance of its original historical being.
Yeah, and the Smithville Community Coalition is actually working, like they've been responsible for getting Habitat for Humanity to come out and help build and restore some of these houses that have fallen in disrepair, because that is a part of the problem with the Smithville community is some of these houses are in disrepair. There's some of them that you can see around the corner that have been completely abandoned. Some of them have really fell victim to a lot of damage. And so they've got, the Smithville Community Coalition has come out and they've provided, or they've worked directly with Habitat for Humanity to get some resources to help restore some of these buildings and stuff like that. So,
and the good thing is about the Smithville Community Coalition is that they are really doing a lot of things in the community. They have an Instagram page that's called Smithville, I think it's called Smithville Community Coalition, that are really doing a lot of things to bring awareness to this site as well as the community in general, to make sure from a preservation standpoint it is upheld and that people can still feel proud about their community, but more importantly be able to stay in their community. And I think that may be like one of the largest things when you talk about development that's happening in gentrification, urban renewal, et cetera, is making sure that you do have some resemblance of originality that's here. And that's why we love doing Hometown Chronicles USA, because it allows us the opportunity to make sure that we go into these communities, capture it from, capture the essence and the heart of these communities, so we can then of course bring it to you all. And so that's why we're here today at the second Rosenwald School stop, which is the Smithville Rosenwald School.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say too about the Smithville Community Coalition is they actually have a big plan in place now to try and revitalize this, which actually involves building a lot more homes and remodeling some of the homes and replacing some others. But they have a big emphasis on keeping their history. They want to have sections of that plan that pay homage to the history, that have art, new art that tells a lot of that story. And they really want to try and make, as I mentioned earlier, they want to make the housing affordable, but they also want to make, try and keep the people who are here, allow them to age in place.
Most definitely.